Hi again YouTube, my name is CymenSniped and welcome back to another seasonal Danger Close guide video. We are currently in Season 8 where the bosses will be facing our Sollicitatio and Moderator Type A. I'll be giving you a quick recap on the boss mechanics and also this season's recommended strategies to deal with both of these bosses. So grab a coffee, sit back, relax, and let's get to it. A quick disclaimer before we begin, the recommended strategies in this guide are based on various standards of gears. Generally, they are not min-max like full sets of T6 or Hummingbird Gordius sets, neither are they using max retune anti-roll damage gears as well. Therefore, if you have better or subpar gear compared to this, you may need to adjust the strategy according to your current levels. You have been notified. Sollicitatio, the first boss we'll be talking about, belongs to the Siege class and generally has 3 phases to the boss fight. Without a tower unit, she will gradually move forward towards your ship and has an AoE around her which silences anyone that touches it. You can also use her HP bar to determine the threshold of each phase. However, by the 1 minute and 4 second mark, her enriched phase will trigger regardless of her remaining HP. In this season where the debuff is minus 30% skill haste, there are a few things that you should prepare to have more stable runs. Number 1. As high a CDR as you can on Zhu Xiyun, ideally more than 50%. Number 2. Gabriel has to have a very tanky set. Not necessarily full sets of a Hummingbird and Gordius, but at the very least the second best tanky set you have. Number 3. Harim must have at least 30% CDR set on her. Number 4. You want your main DPS to also use attack speed, or at least rely on attack speed, or raw attack power, or anti-ground and siege substats. As for the buffs this season, the White Rabbit faction has the HP, attack and skill haste increased. These allow Harim to cycle through her skills, which is more essential than any other buffs that we ever got, as a support to keep the cooldown short for the entire team. Hansorim has potential, but depending on your gears, there are better options, probably. For DPS, I like to recommend anyone that relies mostly on attack speed to deal damage, such as Awakened Soyun, Kim So-bin, Ifrit, and Hansorim. Any of the 2 would be sufficient in your team. As for ship recommendations, I would highly recommend Kami Izumi or Enterprise. So let's talk about the strategy. You want to start off the fight with Gabriel at the front, Harim and Zhu Xiyun at the back, and then your DPS units follow up. After that, you want to follow that up with Sanae and then your defense breakers like Roy and Terminator if you are using any of them. To clear the boss, there are a few conditions you need to clear, like advancing from stage to stage before winning a game. The first condition you want to clear is to be able to keep Gabriel alive throughout the entire fight without redeployment. Condition number 2 is cleared if Zhu Xiyun is able to have his active skill always up to counter the boss's skill. Condition number 3 is to have the DPS to reduce Sollicitatio's HP down to 1 HP bar before 1 minute and 4 seconds. Condition number 4, you have to be able to redeploy Zhu Xiyun right behind your team when Sollicitatio begins her enraged phase with your special skill ready. If you can fulfill the conditions above like a checklist, you will probably be able to at least kill Solly with give or take 1 minute left on the clock. In general, the Sollicitatio fight is actually pretty straightforward. I will leave a Sollicitatio run at the end of the video so you can use that as a reference. If you find this information so far useful, do drop the video a like and sub to the channel as it really helps out with the algorithm. Moving on to the more troublesome boss of this season, we have Mod Type A. Generally speaking, there are 2 strategies that you can use to beat the boss. If you have decent gears, you can try strategy A. But if you are not able to reduce the boss's HP to less than half of the final bar when it reaches the middle after the first DPS check, do consider switching to strategy B. For strategy A, the main objective is to use your best ranger DPS paired with Chifuyu to burst the boss down using supporters like Soyun, Roy, Doma, and a ship skill from either New Detroit or Razangrif. Although I won't be going into detail on the deployment sequence for this strategy, I will share a few conceptual conditions for making it work. Number 1, you want to keep Roy and Chifuyu alive past the first DPS check, which is absolutely crucial. Number 2, you want to stack all your offensive debuffs as close together as possible. The units you must have for this to work includes Roy, Chifuyu, Soyun, Doma, Kim So-bin, Tarask, Minato, Admin Rifleman, Shinja, Lin Xian, and you may use any combination of the 8 above depending on your gears, levels, and player skills. Do be reminded that if it doesn't work for you, please abandon all hope and move on to the strategy B. You will save yourself a lot of pain.
Pain I had to endure.
For strategy B, the first part of this strategy is the same as the previous one. The biggest difference is that you do not want to reduce the boss's HP below 1 bar until it starts its second DPS check, which begins at 1 minute and 33. The closer the boss's HP is to the final bar before it initiates a second DPS check, the better. Why we do this is because there's no way we can survive the enraged laser and the boss going berserk when it reaches your ship back to back. The units you will need for this strategy to work are the following units. You want Yumi or Serapel as a defender with valid hit absorption. You want Chifuyu, Kim So-bin or Rifleman as your DPS. Shinatsu as your healer. Roy, Shinja, Soyun, Doma, Tarask as your debuffers. As for ships, you can either use New Detroit, Enterprise or Razangreave. Regarding deployment sequences, your Chifuyu and Roy will probably be able to keep the boss's enrage timer in check. You want to cut as much corners as you can when it comes to deploying your defender. The best time to use it would be the final phase when the boss actually approaches your ship. I will share the complete run at the end of the video for your reference as well. And with that, you should be ready to deal with the bosses yourself now. Mod A is probably the harder one for most people, but I'm pretty sure you can do it. Pretty sure. Like always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. I will answer them to the best of my abilities. Or you can just join me on Discord. Until the next video, best of luck. Bye.